All right, it's Chris Pre with another Deal Structure Sunday, and we are joined by master veteran Brian O'Neill from Chicago. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, good morning. I'm great. I like that, master veteran.
Well, I'm trying to think of how else to position you. I think these guys by now know your story. If you guys do not, Brian's on the podcast with us and a bunch of deal structures. So, all kidding aside, you want to check out some of what's going on in his world and his business right now because he's setting the pace for the entire community. Brian, you've gotten through, you're probably on deal 12 or 13-ish, but this deal we're talking about first on today's deal structure is deal 6.
Yeah, six, I believe it's 6 or 7, but right around there.
Okay, so let's dive in. First of all, what type are we talking about here?
So this is a sandwich lease, as all of mine are to date.
Okay, and the source on this one?
This was an expired listing, and I believe I caught her, maybe a day or two after she expired.
Okay, so that does say expired for those that are viewing this. Okay, so what's important, Brian just dropped a nugget there. He said all his to date are sandwiches. In the deal structure over time, when we're done here, where we dive into more nuances, he's going to talk about why when he started his business versus where he is today. So it's going to be pretty cool. You're not going to want to miss the deal structure over time. All right, Brian, give me some more details on this. I want to know on the source. We could talk about more on the nuances in the overtime, but how long, I'm curious, from when you called or VA called, and I want to know who, and then till you got the contract?
That was a short amount of time. It was, she had called back to one of my outgoing voicemails, and we scheduled an appointment relatively quickly. Again, the pain points were there, and it was probably within 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks to get the house under agreement.
Okay, that's awesome. And in the deal structure overtime, we'll talk about the seller's motivation, because that's key for you guys to know, the viewers. All right, term you set up?
We're doing a 36-month term on this one.
36 months. Tell us about the numbers, because in a sandwich lease, just for review for the Wicked Smart viewers, when a sandwich lease is structured, the sale price is just used for discussion only. We take the debt, underlying debt, minus the sale, the difference between the debt and the sale price, and that'll determine if there's any equity left to give them at the end. So how did you structure this?
Right. So her existing loan balance, I'm going to just round it up. It was $260,000. And we agreed upon an equity position for her of 40,000. And that comes to, we bought it for 300,000 essentially.
Okay, and again, I want to clarify, Brian, because you and I do this second nature, and we often miss the fact that you got some new people and/or some people that need clarification here. Brian will, per his agreement, it's actually section 13 of our agreements. We give you the agreements, the contracts. Per his agreement, he will pay off the underlying debt at the end of this term or before when his buyer gets financing and pay her $40,000. Now, is the debt going to be 260 at the end of this? No, it's going to be something less. Brian is realizing all the principal pay down throughout the term.
Right.
All right. What did we go on the market for?
Went to market 339.9.
3399. Brian, a lot of times people ask where you came up with that. A lot. So I'm just trying to think of things that come up on our weekly Wicked Smart sit downs to answer for these guys the things that are swirling in their head. How did you come up with that price?
Yeah, I certainly didn't, wasn't throwing darts at the dartboard. So, we look at comparables in the area, and then we do add a premium to it because, again, we're locking in that price for a period of time out in the future, which is typically a minimum of 24 months. So the price is more than appropriate. I bought the house well because, again, I was able to solve several pain points for the seller.
All right, awesome. And then in the deal structure overtime, we'll talk about what the seller was on for and how long and all that. All right, let's talk about the sale. Go through payday 1 here with me, and maybe a little bit, because we'll do the rest in overtime, about the buyer and how long that took to find.
I certainly went through a couple of buyers. I mean, I had one within the first week that was ready to go, and then ended up backing out. So you do have to exercise patience with some of these buyers, because that situation was certainly frustrating for me. These buyers, it was we can go more in the overtime, but it was a family, and two brothers, and then the fiance of one of the brothers, and they all went on together, and we collected an initial down payment of 3%, 10,200. I felt comfortable with that because of the three incomes, and they all signed. Plus the first month.
10,200. Sorry, you
Well,
said initially. Did you schedule more?
I did. So I'm just saying the initial down, and then plus the first month's rent, which is 2605.
2605 first month. Yep. And then what were the additional payments you structured?
16,000. We worked a quarterly plan for them. They felt really comfortable with that.
Okay, so important for the Wicked Smart viewers to know, Nick, my son Nick, who specializes with buyers, helps all the associates. And now Brian's sailing on his own pretty much, but he helps them maximize the down payment, sure, and all the paydays, but also how and when to collect more payday ones to put you in a better position as an investor, sure, in cash flow, sure, but also to help the buyer. You're putting them in a position to win better by upping their deposit and lowering their exposure and improving their credit, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Anything to add to that, Brian, before we go to payday two?
No, I mean, you nailed it. I mean, it was really just, when we have these conversations beyond the initial down payment, the 3%, you're working out a plan with them to put them in a successful position, but you always have to remember that it's their plan. They have to feel comfortable with it. And, you want to make sure that you're not forcing these people into a situation where they might get spooked and walk away. So that's something I learned by doing this several times. And with the help of Nick. Nick's helped me out tremendously on the buyer side.
Yeah, and it's important before we go to payday two for the viewers to know, I say this on show after show because we still have idiot educators out there saying, just jam buyers in the house, who cares if they qualify, because then you just get to go do it again and collect another deposit. And I always say, although it might be okay legally for them to do it with the way they set it up with their business, morally and ethically it stinks if you don't set the buyer up to win, you set them up to fail, which is ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
Thank you for that detailed answer. All right, let's go to payday two.
Okay, so the payday two, the mortgage payment, 2411.
PITI?
PITI, yep. We're collecting 2605 from the buyer every month, which leaves a difference of $194 per month. And over the 36-month term, if it goes full term, would be $6,984.
$6,984, payday two.
Mm-hmm.
I want to comment on this, and then I want your comments. So the payday two, I will say, I guess directly, it's not as important. We look at a bunch of things, right? We look at what's the underlying principal pay down in that monthly payment, which we'll get to later. We look at cash flow. We look at all kinds of things, so we don't get too stuck on that. But they range from literally $50 to $1,000 and more. Our team averages around 300. What are you averaging on yours? Do you know, Brian?
It's around 300.
Yeah,
I have some that I have a house that's zero, but the total deal is worth, is high. And I have some that are in the 550, 600 range. So again, I try not to focus on monthly ever.
Love it. And if that doesn't get them thinking, I don't know what will. And just a side note, you want to get more of this stuff, guys. You go over to Wicked Smart, sit down in Wicked Smart workshop. When I say go over, every Thursday at 4 o'clock, we host you. It's free. Brian's on almost every single one of them, if not every. Myself and Nick and Zach rotate through. The coaches rotate through, and it's free from 4 to 4:50. Come over and hang out with us and learn more about this stuff. All right, Brian, let's go to payday three. We marked it up. Quick math, what, 69, 9?
No, it was 39,900 was the price premium.
Oh, because we bought it. I'm sorry. That's why I asked. 39.9. All right. And it's morning. Could you imagine if this was the end of the day? 39.9 markup. Principal pay down on the underlying 2411 payment is how much?
485.
That's good.
Yeah.
So over the term is how much?
That would be 17,460 if it goes full term.
Whoops, 17,460.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's do the math now. So you took down, I want to clarify for the viewers again, we're going to take the 16,000 from payday one and the 10.2. We're not going to take that extra payment he got. We'll talk about that a little bit in a second. So just using payday one, how much are we taking away at closing here? crediting?
26,200 is the payday one deposit in total. And that leaves total payday three of 31,160.
So 31,160. If you take, Brian, do the math with me. If you take the payday one is total payday one with the extra mortgage payment we took, and we'll tell them why. How much is payday one?
26,000. I'm going to cheat and get my calculator. 26.2 plus 26.05 is 28,805.
Okay, very important to know. If you guys look at this number right here, if you're watching this, 2605. Why? Our agreements are pre-written. You can negotiate better if you want, but they're pre-written to have Brian start that payment of 2411 in payday 2 to the underlying debt 30 days after his tenant buyer takes occupancy. And the logic is real simple. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, mortgages are paid in arrears. We're not going to start the payment on August 1 if we're taking possession August 1 because that payment went to pay July and you were living in the house. And so it's very simple logic and script, and we teach you how to do that. But Brian put in his pocket an extra 2605 just from this little tweak we did with our system and our technique. So we got 28 grand there. Payday 2 is 6984.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And 31,160 for a total of what?
66,949.
66,949.
949. Yep.
All right. Pretty interesting to note that Brian's averages. This was deal 6. We're gonna do some more deals at Brian, so be sure to watch the channel. But pretty interesting to know that average has gone up. What's it gone up to roughly now, Brian? From what to what? What was your low and what's your average now per all 3 paydays?
The low was the first deal at 52,000, and now I'm at the average for all 10 that have buyers in them is 76,000.
You know what I'd like to know, and you might not know this answer. I'd like to know what the last 3 were.
Well, let's see. The number 10 was 78,000, and I think 8 and 9 were in the 80s.
Yeah, there you go. So you're pulling that thing past the 8 mark now, 80s.
Right.
Love it. All right, Brian, anything I didn't ask before we tell these guys where to go for the overtime?
No, we'll cover that all in the overtime. This is a great deal for sure, and the buyers are tremendous.
All right, awesome. So you guys want to jump over to smartrealestatecoachacademy.com, fire up the episode for the deal overtime because there's so many nuances. Now, not so much that we can explain A through Z. These deals are all different and unique. You want to tie into the Wicked Smart sit-downs and workshops every Thursday at 4 o'clock for more information, to bring your own deals, to just listen, to be a fly in the wall. We'll see you on the next Deal Structure Sunday.